the stimulus has not created one private sector job.
I would fight all of the stimulus money because we're all going to have to pay for it, or our kids are going to have to pay for it at some point.
I think the rest of his policies, I think his stimulus is a disaster.
No more stimulus spending.
That was Republican Rick Scott when he ran for governor of Florida. I would fight all the stimulus money. Stimulus is a disaster. No more stimulus spending. None. That was Rick Scott just last year. Rick Scott this year just signed his very first state budget, which includes nearly $370 million worth of stimulus money. In describing where it gets its money, the budget specifically names the Stimulus Act 66 times.
No more stimulus spending.
Or maybe a lot. When asked by the Miami Herald and the St. Petersburg Times why his budget had so much stimulus money in it, despite all the no stimulus, you can't make me, this was Governor Scott's response.
You go through every line you can and figure out where it builds jobs, where it hurts jobs, and that's sort of the filter I went through.
So if the stimulus money helps create jobs, then it's okay?
I think it's a mistake. I think that's taxpayer money, and I think we have to watch how we spend all that money, both at the state level and at the federal level.
But you okayed it. I mean, but you let the...
You have to get in a little more detail on exactly which one. I can go through each line.
Well, there's about 61 different line items. A lot of it's in state attorney's office, but of the $346 million, about 84% of it appears to be through ACA for electronic hospital record of all things.
Yeah.
Any of that sound familiar?
Sure. Well, I have to go through every line and look at it. But I think this stimulus hurts our economy long term. I think that it creates bigger government, not smaller government. I believe in smaller government. And I think we have to continue to watch how we spend all of our dollars.
Governor, you spent 40 hours on the budget. You did not find, I mean, you're not aware of stimulus money in there?
Close the door. You got to go through it line by line, every line, and make sure you can't see the money that you're keeping that you said you wouldn't keep. Same idea for Florida's new Republican governor on that whole limited government thing he was just explaining.
Limited government, what do you think?
You're tired of bigger government.
A lean and limited government.
I'm going to reduce the cost of government, the size of government.
Less government.
Right. Just like he pledged to never take stimulus money, Florida Governor Rick Scott pledged to reduce, limit, lessen Florida state government. Instead, he is expanding Florida state government to do stuff it has never done before, like forcing Florida women to have medically unnecessary ultrasounds before the government will allow them to have an abortion, like forced drug testing of anyone applying for benefits from the state, even if they are not suspected of anything, like forced drug testing of anyone who works for the state, even if they're not suspected of anything. If you were in the business of politics in Florida, this stimulus, no stimulus thing, this giant government, no government thing must be head spinning. But if you were in the business of protecting civil liberties in Florida, however head spinning this all may be, mostly right now, I would bet that you are just about gearing up for a fight. Joining us now is Howard Simon, Executive Director of the American Civil Liberties Union of Florida. Mr. Simon, thank you very much for your time.
Nice to be with you, Rachel.
Am I right that you do have a fight on your hands with this new administration, at least over the forced drug testing issue?
Oh, and not just a forced drug testing issue. Rachel, this is ground zero for a battle on numerous personal freedoms and civil liberties issues involving abortion rights, voting rights, religious freedom, mandatory drug testing. This is the whole ball of wax is down here, and we're just trying to do our job and protect the personal freedoms and civil liberties from the abuses of power of this government.
I know that
this governor.
I know the ACLU of Florida you've already sued Governor Scott over the drug testing of state workers. You've been contemplating suing over the drug testing for people applying for benefits as well. Have you reached a decision on whether you're going to sue on that one yet?
Oh, we probably will, but Rachel, there's only so many lawsuits we can deal with a week. You know, he has said he's created jobs. He certainly has created jobs. We've had to add attorneys to our staff. We're suing. We sued him in federal court yesterday over mandatory drug testing without suspicion for all people who work for the state government, executive branch agencies. And in fact, we're filing another federal lawsuit against the governor tomorrow on voting rights.
Florida Republicans, at last count, I think it was, had introduced 18 different anti-abortion bills this session. By my last count, they've passed 5 of them so far. Republicans in Florida, of course, have been really anti-abortion for a long time. But can you tell why the floodgates have opened this year on anti-abortion stuff in particular, in the way that these floodgates have opened?
Well, I think because the November election has empowered them without any check of, we all benefit when there's divided government, when both parties have a little bit of power. Now they don't have to answer to anybody whatsoever. They are emboldened and set the agenda, and now for the first time, maybe ever, they can do whatever they want without any check. The check has got to come now from the courts, and that's the work that we have begun doing. It's now time for the courts to step up and protect the personal freedom and the rights of the people of Florida.
When the country at large starts thinking about politics in Florida, starts thinking about Florida as a potential presidential battleground, for example, do you think that civil liberties issues will have electoral consequences? Do you think they will help or hurt either side just when it comes to the politics of the state of Florida?
Well, certainly that's the case with voting rights. They are doing whatever they can to suppress the vote as much as possible. Yeah, Rachel, I know that you've studied this enough to know that no state in the country does as good a job depriving as many people of the right to vote than the state of Florida in any way possible, principally by this mass system of felon disfranchisement. But now they've passed a law that will suppress it, will make it harder to register to vote, make it harder to vote, and make it harder to have your vote counted. And that's the law that we're challenging in federal court tomorrow.
Howard Simon, Executive Director of the ACLU of Florida. Busy man right now. Thank you very much for your time tonight, sir. Appreciate it.
Nice to be with you.